Alright, good morning, guys. This is like attempt number 6 to do this because I keep messing up on recording. But I'm going to go over something that I hope helps you with the assignment from yesterday and some of the problems in the assignment for today and some of the problems. So let's remember what we're talking about. We are talking about lines that are known to be parallel. Again, this will only work if you know the lines are parallel. And if I have a transversal, it creates 8 angles. And because the lines are parallel, the measures of these 4 angles will transfer directly down in here. So let's just come up with some trial values. If this was a 50-degree angle, because these two are a linear pair, this one would be 130. Because vertical angles are congruent, this would be a 50-degree angle. Because vertical angles are congruent, this would be a 130-degree angle. And now those 4 angle measures, because the lines are parallel, because of these markings right here that show me that these lines are parallel, I can take these 4 angle measures and transfer them down there. Again, just to emphasize, if we don't know the lines are parallel, then we can't do this. But we do know these lines are parallel. So this is a 50-degree angle. This is a 130-degree angle. This is 50, and this is 130. So why is that important to know? Because any 2 angles that I pick here along these parallel lines are either going to be congruent or supplementary. So I either have 2 130-degree angles, or I could have 2 50-degree angles, or I could have one of each, a 130 and a 50, which would be supplementary. So when we have parallel lines, these angle pairs are congruent angle pairs. Corresponding angles are going to be congruent. Now remember, those are the ones that are in corresponding positions, like this one, and there are 4 corresponding pairs. Alternate interior angles are going to be congruent. So alternate interior angles. And remember, those are on opposite sides of the transversal between the parallel lines. There's a second pair right here that are highlighted in yellow. And alternate interior angles will always be congruent, as will alternate exterior angles. So alternate exterior angles, opposite sides of the transversal outside the parallel lines. These 2 that are highlighted in pink are an example of alternate exteriors, and they're definitely congruent. So these pairs are always going to be congruent pairs. The pairs that are supplementary are going to be our same side interior angles and our same side exterior angles. And these are the ones that are supplementary. Isn't it funny that all the S's are together? And of course, supplementary means that when you add them, you get 180 degrees. Okay, so let's look at a pair of same side exterior angles here. It could be the 50 and the 130. That's a pair of same side exterior angles. Or it could also be these 2 angles, which are also supplementary. So that gives us a way to solve if I have equations or expressions that I need to look at. So if I have a pair of parallel lines, and again, I can't emphasize enough that I have to know those lines are parallel. And if this angle right here is 20x minus 4 degrees, and this angle right here is 12x plus 30 degrees, I have to decide, is this a congruent pair or is it a supplementary pair? Well, these are alternate interior angles. We know that alternate interior are congruent. So since they're congruent, I'm going to say 12x plus 30 is equal to 20x minus 4. I'm going to solve for x. Minus 12x minus 12x. 30 is equal to 8x minus 4. Add 4 to both sides. 8x equals 34. Divide both sides by 8, and I am going to get x is equal to 4.25. So now that I know the x value, I'm going to plug it in. Even if the problem doesn't ask me to plug it in, I'm going to double check because I said that these two angles were going to be equal to each other. So when I plug in my x value, those two angles should be equal to each other because that's the basis upon which I created that equation. So I'm going to plug 4.25 in for x here. 12 times 4.25 plus 30. 12 times 4.25 is 51. 51 plus 30 is 81 degrees. If I have done this correctly, when I plug 4.25 in for this x value, I should end up with 81, because again, I built this problem by saying that these two things were going to be equal to each other. So 20 times 4.25 minus 4. 20 times 4.25 is 85, and 85 minus 4 is equal to 81 degrees. So the angles did end up congruent, so I did get a good answer. But again, it was based on the understanding that these two angles had to be congruent because the lines are parallel. The only other possibility is that you get an angle pair that is known to be a supplementary angle pair. So let's say I have another example. That's a pair of parallel lines. Let's say that this angle measures 35x minus 5 degrees, and this angle measures 20x minus 13 degrees. Now again, since the lines are parallel, these angles are either congruent or supplementary. Well, let's see what kind of pair they are. These are same side interior angles. If you want to come up here to your little cheat thing and say, okay, well, I am looking at a pair of angles that's equivalent to this. Well, those are not congruent. 50 and 130 are not congruent, so they're supplementary. And again, 50 and 130 is just an example, just so I'll remember to look at an angle pair, and when I find the angle pair, it helps me decide whether they're congruent or supplementary. Well, this is a supplementary pair, so what does supplementary mean? That when I add them up, I'm going to get 180 degrees. So when I add them, it's going to be equal to 180 degrees. So I'm going to add 35x minus 5, the one angle, added to the other angle, which is 20x minus 13. So when I add those two angles up, it's going to be equal to 180 degrees. Remember, you have like terms on the same side of the equal sign, so I'm just going to add the 35x plus the 20x. For some of you, it might be easier to do it like this. If you know you're going to add them, line them up like you're adding anything. Just make sure you add up the like things, and you can do it like that instead. But as long as I'm adding my like terms, 35x plus 20x is 55x. Negative 5 minus 13 is minus 18. So 55x minus 18 equals 180 degrees. Add 18 to both sides. I end up with 55x is equal to 198. And when I divide 198 by 55, I'm going to get x is equal to 3.6. Okay, so that's not enough. Even if the problem does not ask me to plug in, I'm going to plug in, because what will I be looking for? I will be looking to see that when I add those two angles up, after I figure out what they are, that when I add them up, because that's what I said I was going to do here, that when I add the two angles up, that sum is equal to 180 degrees. So when I plug in for x and I add those two angles up, it should equal 180 degrees, because that's what I based my equation on, was that adding the two angles up was going to give me 180 degrees. Okay, let me fix what I messed up here. That when I add the two angles up, it's 180. So let's plug in 35 times 3.6 minus 5. So 35 times 3.6 is going to be 126, and 126 minus 5 is going to be 121. So this is a 121 degree angle. So let's think about it. What should this angle measure if I'm going to add those two and it equals 180? Well, this one's supposed to equal 59. Now I'm not just going to say it's 59. I'm going to plug in that value of x. So 20 times 3.6, I'm going to substitute 3.6 in there. So 20 times 3.6 minus 13. And 20 times 3.6 is 72. 72 minus 13 is 59. So all is good, because when I plugged in my x values, I did end up with two angles that are supplementary. And again, that was the basis for the way I wrote the equation. All right, I hope this helps. Make sure you get both assignments done. Hope to be back tomorrow. Our exam is going to be Thursday, unless you're in 6th period or a 7th period person participating in the pep rally. If you are in 6th period, because we're not going to have a 6th period on Thursday, or if you are a 7th period person participating in the pep rally, you will be taking your exam at a different time, I believe on Wednesday. Everyone else, your exam will be on Thursday. All right, have a good day, guys.